Insane in the membrane.
Here we are. Welcome to the show. This is Insane in the Membrane with me, Rich Wilson. And today I am joined by the mighty Olaf Falafel. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. A little bit cold.
Yeah.
But good. I've got a hat on. I've got some furry sleeves as well. I'm sat at home on my own. My other half and the kids are all out at school, and I can't be. I'm too tight to put the heating on for the house on just my own. So
Do you know what? I find that. Yeah, I was in my flat yesterday, and I was like, "There's no point. It's just me. The wife's at work. I just put another jumper on."
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's kind of giving away. With podcasts, there's that kind of, you assume they're all recorded the day before. So I don't know when this is going out, but yeah, it may get put out in like summer when it's really hot and everyone's listening going, "What do you mean it was cold?" So yeah, this was actually recorded in the winter of 1976 when it was really cold.
This has been the coldest. Isn't this the coldest March in like a decade or something?
Yeah, it's nuts. It is nuts. So yeah, actually, we should say it's March the something or other, and it's blooming. It was snowing earlier. There you go.
Do you know what? I got the bus, and I was standing outside the uni in Brighton, where the bus stops, and I was just stood there, and it couldn't make its mind up if it was going to be sleet or rain, and then it was coming in sideways. And just sort of standing there, just going, "It's just how it is. I get it, but."
I thought we were over that. I thought we were on the hill towards the nice weather.
All the daffodils have come out. Every time I see them now, I'm reminded of that Conor McGregor meme, like, "Surprise, motherfuckers!"
Oh. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm very well, thank you. I'm all right. I've reached a stage in my life where I'm actually quite zen about stuff. I'm actually things that were, I used to really worry about. Mind you, I say that. I did wake up the other morning panicking. We hadn't paid the rent, and I was a bit worried about where we were going to get the money from, but we sorted it out. But so I had that. But apart from that, I'm pretty zen. You know. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I go from one sort of thing in the distance to worry about. And then the closer it gets, the more you worry about it. And then it happens and you realise, actually, that was nothing to worry about. And then it's the next one. So, and then lots of little things in between. So, I mean, for me, doing the Leicester Festival was, back in February was one of those, because it's a work in progress. And it was the first work in progress on my kind of stage towards building a show for Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I had nothing, but I did have to pad it out a lot with stuff that was from last year's show. So it was kind of squeezing in new bits, but I was also, I had a bit of a packed one. So I did 3 events in one day.
Oh, wow.
I did a book reading at the Fox Books in Leicester, which I did last year. But that to me is no stress, because I know what I'm doing there. It's basically the thing that I do when I visit schools with my books. So I should point out to anyone listening, I illustrate, as well as doing comedy, I illustrate and write kids' books.
And they're excellent as well.
Thanks, mate.
Yes.
I visit a lot of schools. So that event wasn't too stressful on my mind. The next one was a family comedy event, which again wasn't too stressful because it was based on the show that I did up in Edinburgh, which went really well. But I wanted to introduce a few newer bits. So there was a little, whereas the third event of the day was work in progress, new stuff. And that was the bit that was giving me the, it was weeks before I'd be like, I need to do this, I need to do that. Will that work? Won't that work? And I was trying bits out in little clubs here and there. But because the stuff that I do in Edinburgh, you can't really try out on a 20-minute proper comedy. As my kids say to me, are you doing proper comedy tonight? And when they ask that, they mean, am I going to get up on stage with a fishing rod and fish ducks off people's head, or am I just going to be up there telling jokes and making people laugh? So it's very difficult to do the Edinburgh stuff when I'm meant to be doing proper comedy.
I think this is what people don't realise about comedy, is that they normally 9 times out of 10 they see the finished product, like with everybody, every comic on every level, there has to be a moment where they're at a little club trying out new things for the first time, You know, like Mickey Flanagan, for example, he's just been at the at Hammersmith, the event in Apollo, and I was with him like a few months ago, end of last year, and he was working stuff out on a Tuesday at the Guinea Pig Club, you know, and he was walking out to, you know, silence. You know, people were like excited to see him, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, this is shit," and he go, "Yeah, it is shit. It's shit now, but it won't be." And then you'll all be queuing up to see him at the.
You'll be paying God knows how much money a ticket to see it. Yeah, but at the minute, it's shit. Yeah,
it's shit, and that's the thing with all of us. Every comic that's ever lived, we have to find a way of trying to do the new stuff, don't we? And it's fucking hard.
You have to plough through that shit, and in a way, that it's kind of the same in a lot of walks of life. And one of the things that I go into schools and the teachers will not necessarily telling me to tell the kids, but what they have certain watchwords. One of the big ones in pretty much every school is resilience and persistence,
right?
Because I don't know whether it's always been the way, but it just, to me, it feels like kids aren't quite as resilient, and when the going gets tough, they'll stop or they won't carry on. So I try and drum that in, but also with a lot of kids in the Q&As afterwards, a lot of the kids go, how did you get good at drawing, or how comes yours? And it's a boring answer, and it is just being shit. Although I don't say that to kids, but it's like you've it's practice, and you've got to put up with things not being right the first time. And I think there's a certain level of if it doesn't work first time with kids, they don't want to stick at it. Yeah. And if comedians were like that, there'd be no comedians.
No.
If it didn't work first time. I did a bit, you know, the Museum of Comedy, don't you?
Yes.
They do a new material night there, and I was doing a bit just in the run up to Leicester, and I'd had an idea. I mean, should I say it? I probably won't say it because I don't want to give it away, because it wasn't. It was pretty rubbish. It was, in my head, it sounded great, and I told my kids about it, and they're normally a good sounding board for like, nah, not sure. They thought, yeah, that could work. Actually, I probably need to tell you now. The idea was that, well, it didn't work in the Museum of Comedy, and then I was talking to David at the Museum of Comedy and saying, I'm definitely going to. That was the Monday before the Leicester on the Sunday, so I'm definitely trying it in Leicester on Sunday, and if it doesn't work, then I'll ditch it. But I still believe in it, and it really worked on the Sunday in Leicester. I think because of the situations where the new material was very much a mixed bill, whereas the Leicester was people who know what I'm about and have come to see stupid stuff. It was basically some observational comedy from the perspective of a lobster.
Right.
There was a bit of a twist and a bit of a reveal, but I don't want to give that away.
No.
But it really did not work on the Monday. But I really thought that there was something in it, and I tried it on the Sunday, and I just thought, you know what, the situation's not quite right. And I videoed it on the Monday, and I watched it back, and I actually showed it to my eldest, who you've met.
I have.
And she's
brilliant. Yeah,
they're both getting to be comedy fans, because they traipse up to Edinburgh most years and
excellent
flyer for me now, which is good. But yeah, I showed it to the eldest, and she still, despite the reaction from the audience, thought, no, you've got to do it. So that was encouraging. But yeah, you do have a lot of shit before you get there.
Oh god, and it's so easy to, like you say, it either doesn't work the first time and you want to bin it, or it works excellent the first time.
That's worse, isn't it?
Well, this is it. I'm doing MacFest at the end of April. I did it last year, and because it's a festival, small festival. Everybody that goes loves comedy. They're up for it. They're so supportive. And when I walked into the car park where my gig was, everyone clapped and cheered, and it was like, wow, this is going to be amazing. And it didn't let up until the end of the show. They were like, oh my god, and you're going, oh my god, this is going to be the best show I've ever written. And I took it to Edinburgh, and it was like, fuck me, what happened? Where did it all go?
There are some audiences that are just brilliant for that ego boost, aren't there? And you've done the one in Tring, haven't you?
Yes.
So I'm good mates with the guy who runs the comedy and the bookshop. So
that's right. Yep.
But he won't be listening to this. But if you are, hi Ben.
Ben's great. He's tolerated my bullshit for many years. Oh, sorry, Ben, I forgot that was happening.
So yeah, he booked me
man.
for comedy first, and then he had this crazy notion of opening a bookshop before the pandemic, and since then he's kind of helped me out with sort of going around schools and supplying books and that sort of thing. But the point I was going to make is I've always found that Tring has always been one of those audiences that almost lulls you into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
You go there and you're like, oh, this is going to be a fantastic Edinburgh show. And then you the first week, you're like, oh, shit, I do have to work hard on this.
Where's Tring when you need it?
Yeah.
But then you were doing comedy, and then you branched out into doing children's books. Now, you were a graphic designer before.
Yeah, I was graphic design, and I worked in ad agencies as an art director, so coming up with ad campaigns for all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff, and doing designs for all sorts of good and evil corporations. And I was illustrating on the side, so doing little bits here and there. And then I got one illustration job that basically paid more or less what I got paid in the year from this ad agency.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was good. It was for the Times newspaper. And it was football based. So I'm a big football fan. And it just gave me the kind of the financial freedom to jack in the full-time job and go freelance. Yeah. And take on more illustration. So almost kind of migrate from being a designer into illustration. And freelance, because most comedians know, because most comedians are very much freelance. Yeah. There's no security. You have this, you can't say no to anything because you never know when it's going to be the last thing that gets offered to you. So for the last 10, 15 years, I've been saying yes to pretty much anything, and it's worked out okay. But yeah, it does mean I have several hats now. I have the illustrator hat, the comedian hat, the guy who goes around and does tours of schools, and also author. I'm actually my daughter's football coach as well. So that to be honest has probably been one of the best things I've done, I think, because and this is I know it's not a mental health, loosely mental health, isn't it? But for my mental health, it's just been so much fun because there's no pressure on it. It's an under 14s girls team. They're all really great, and it's just really fun to do. So did all the courses, all the badges, all the first aid and safeguarding and FA qualifications, and then it's every Wednesday we have training, and then every Saturday morning we have a game, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, but I mean, that's it. I mean, this is. I've just did another podcast record just now. We were talking about the same thing about people. The two lads that are in. They were talking about sport, and they just said it's just nice to just go and just run around for a bit, boot a ball around, and we play comedians football on a Tuesday, and that just. I don't really follow football, but playing football, I really love it. I'm not particularly very good, but I love it.
I've always played, but this is the first time I've kind of coached, and because it was basically my daughter has played since she was about 5 or 6, and she was in this team, and the coach had to step down. I think it was for work reasons or something, and the club said, will anyone else want to step up and do it? I straight away put my hand up, and my daughter straight away said, "No, you are definitely not Dad. You're embarrassing." And I said, "I know I'm embarrassing, but it's a really good club, really great bunch of girls, and if no one else steps up, then it won't happen." So I put my hand up, and luckily, when I put my hand up, there were a couple of the other dads said, "Well, if you want to sort of lead it, we'll support you as assistants." And so
amazing. And
there's one guy who does the admin, which is absolutely brilliant because that's the one bit I hate. Yeah, all of that side of things. And it's the one thing in life in general I absolutely hate. Yeah, anything to do with organising and emails and I just put stuff off. I just want to be doing the fun stuff, and that to me is what I get to do because I'm the lead coach. I get to do all the training. There was a thing, which it was one of the tournaments. I think it was the Euros where Gareth Southgate. He didn't want training to get boring, so he introduced this squeaky rubber duck And he played rubber duck tag with all of these sort of grown men. So you got like Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling playing tag with a rubber. And I thought this would be quite a fun one to do on my first training session with the girls, to kind of stamp my mark and let them know what I'm about. I said, right, got a rubber chicken, a squeaky rubber chicken and a squeaky rubber duck. We're going to play rubber. And I thought there would be eye rolls and sort of, oh, this is cringe, but they loved it. And I loved it. And it's all good fun. And now I only bring out the rubber ducks on special occasions, but they do love it and they do ask for it. And even my own daughter has got over the fact that it's not actually embarrassing and they do quite enjoy it. But yeah, in terms of just getting out, like you say, just getting out and being a little bit active, and then also the sort of the camaraderie they have, and it's probably one of the best things I've done.
That's amazing, and that's the thing. It takes you out of your everyday. I mean, yeah, we're very lucky to do what we do, but like you say, the admin side of it becomes a job. Like you're trying to book gigs, you're trying to do the work, especially what you do. Like it isn't just straight stand up. You're all coming up with all manner of like weird and wonderful, interesting bits that take a bit more preparation because you've got props and things like that. So it's work. It is work. And so to come out of that and just go, I'm just going to play football for a bit and help the girls. And
it was great. It's a relief. It's something away from. You're right. All the other stuff that clogs up my head. I do have a lot of stuff clogging up my head. In fact, that's what my Edinburgh show is going to be called. It's going to be this year. It's called "Look What Fell Out of My Head."
Nice.
Because there's just a lot of it is just stuff that's been in my head for a while. Like, I mean, and there's bits in there that I want to do and I've just not got around to doing. And there's, to give you a sort of flavour without spoiling anything, I want to do a fake live on stage colonoscopy. I mean, this is audio recorded, so the listeners won't be able to see this, but I can show you, Rich. I'm actually sat in my kind of my den of.
Oh yeah!
This is my den of creativity where I make stuff.
The inside of your head.
It pretty much is the inside of my head. There's sort of pictures everywhere. And
is that Beyond Ball behind you?
That's Beyond Ball there, and that is Hightower from Police Academy.
Yeah. That's what's his name?
People want to see this. We can put this on
YouTube.
Yeah.
I've got furry arms on as well because it's
got
cold.
Furry arms. Yeah. But isn't that what's his name? The Manchester artist. Is that you, or did you do that?
No, that's me. That's
Whoa.
me. Yeah, I do.
Excellent.
So the idea that I've got for the colonoscopy is I've got one of these. It's an air duct thing from like a B&Q. If I can put this over, where's the camera there? And what I want to do is get a camera up there, and then I've painted all these miniature masterpieces.
Yeah.
So I was going to.
Oh wow!
So I was going to diagnose someone with having an art gallery in their digestive system.
Those are incredible.
So I've got they're quite therapeutic to do as well. So I've got about 6 or 7 different ones, and the idea is that we almost have like a little tour of an art gallery. So it kind of mixes that sort of up someone's bumhole. So it mixes that highbrow and lowbrow kind of.
Well, is that people do say like a lot of it's so pretentious. Like art is.
Yeah, well, I'm massively into art. I do this.
Yeah.
I was actually just about to do. I do every month. I do a column for it's a kids magazine called The Week Junior, where I do how to recreate a famous artist. So I'm just doing. Hold on, I'm going to show you the hockey-size Great Wave. So that's literally just a bit of paper cut out and some quite a simple way of doing it. So I'm doing that at the minute. But yeah, so I'm well into my art. But yeah, understandably, it's very pretentious. So taking an art gallery and putting it inside someone's basically rectum. And the idea that I've not done this yet, I wanted to have it in time for Leicester, but I just didn't get there. So that's kind of what I'm working on next. The idea is that I have a kind of recorded video going down this digestive tract, and then we get to various bits of art. And then in the distance, I'm thinking there's going to be like some northerners grumbling, like, hey, up there, bloody hell. And then I go, and so, hang on. Yeah, I think there's a Lowry around, and we just have a little Lowry.
Oh my God.
So that's kind of...
Hang on.
that's kind of the idea. But yeah, you're doing these takes a while, but they are quite therapeutic.
My God,
I do have to wear.
Yeah.
I put a post up on Twitter the other day. When I'm doing them, I do have to wear these glasses because my eyesight's quite bad. I wear contact lenses. I have to wear these glasses that make me look like the receptionist from Monsters Inc. You know, and my kids will, at about 3:30 when they're back from school, they'll open the door with the keys on, and I'll be sat here with like my powerful light on, my glasses painting a small bloody Picasso, and I'll turn around and say, "Good day at school," and they just roll their eyes like, this is normal.
Dad's doing his thing. There's a goldfish swims across your glasses.
Yeah.
But it's that's it though. It's that you need these things. Like it is good for your mental health to have these escapes. You know, otherwise, if you just look, this is the thing. It's what I find. I know people that they work 9 to 5, and then they come home and they do the same thing all the time. And I just say to them, like, what do you do? Like, there must be something that you do to come out of it for a bit. You know, they think what I do is mental. I
think that's the good thing about when I don't tend to tell people I'm a comedian if I don't know them. And you know, so when I first started doing the football coaching, I didn't tell them, the other dads, and they kind of slowly found out. And it's one of the kind of the magical things about, you're always a comedian. How does it work? How does it happen? And everyone says, "Oh, you must be brave," and it must. And you think to yourself, "Not really," because we've done it so many times, and we know. But I guess to an outsider, it would do. But yeah, you're right in what do these other people? What do the other people do? What do they? I actually got on. So I'm still on LinkedIn for like illustration stuff that's sort of more corporate things that tends to pay quite good money, and I got offered a proper job on LinkedIn.
Oh wow.
And it was like much more money than I earn now, but it was like 9 to 5, and my other half just said, you'd die, you'd never do it, you couldn't. You've been not house trained, you've been wild too long, you've been feral too long.
It's true. You've been out in the wild for too long. Someone said that to me a little while ago, and I was just like, I could not be employed by anyone now. My desk would be upside down by lunchtime. Well, I was going, no, fuck this. I need to go and chat shit for a living.
I could work in a shop. I could work, do you know what I mean? Somewhere where it's sociable and the hours aren't 9 to 5 necessarily. But I think an office job would probably do my head in.
Oh, God,
yeah. And I remember when I was doing it, I would come home and I just wouldn't have time to do anything else. It was just like you'd have to commute, you'd be knackered, you'd get home, you'd just want to collapse.
Yeah. I totally get it, and that's the other reason people that work 9 to 5, they're just knackered. They're just you know, there's people I know that, you know, they're builders and they're decorators and they're doing, it's like they haven't got the energy to do something. They just want to go and have a drink and chill out. You know,
well, a lot of my mates are sort of tradespeople. So I've got a lot of mates who are tilers, brickies, chippies, that sort of thing. And I mean, they probably look at me and think that's not a proper job. But they do look at me and think it's not a proper job. But no, they're a good bunch. But it is weird, and it's weird as well. When you come back from a gig and you can't sleep.
Yeah,
and then that means you sleep till 11, or whenever it is. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I make myself get up to make breakfast for everyone in the house before they head off to school, I probably would sleep until 11, 12. But that used to be. It's a shame actually. Both my daughters are at high school now,
right,
and. Used to be one of my favourite parts of the day was not necessarily my eldest one, although she's great. But I mean, with the eldest one, I was walking them both into school. Yeah. Whereas when she left to go to high school, it was just me and the youngest, and it was slightly more not intimate, but just funnier because there was just the two of us, and we weren't sort of competing there weren't 3 people competing and we just come up with really stupid ideas, and a lot of it would inspire stuff that goes in my kids' books. She would tell me about her her mates at school and the stupid things that they were doing, and tell me about funny sort of anecdotes. My other half as well, she works in a school,
Right.
and she's told me there's actually, so I've got a book that is coming up. So I did my first chapter book last year, and it is called Trixie Pickle Art Avenger, and it's basically it's about a girl. The way I always describe it, she is her school's version of Banksy, and she uses sort of inspiration from different artists to get back at bullies, sort of get even with teachers, generally make the world a nicer place by being influenced by different artists.
Yeah.
And there's these, it's a very kind of cartoon heavy book, but there's these fact files in there about all the different artists that she's inspired by, and there's about 10, 12 different artists in each one. So I'm doing the follow up to that, and that's out on May the 4th. And there's a little anecdote that my other half told me. So it's normally was my youngest daughter telling me all these things, but my other half, she said, "Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny. We were doing a science experiment, and it was to do with measuring the rate of temperature change as ice melts."
Right.
And, and I've got a bit in the book about all of the science teacher in the book has all these pointless science experiments. And you're like, well, why are we doing this? Right, class, today we're going to burn a peanut, or which was one that I did at school. I'm like, okay, we're going to build a bridge out of marshmallows and spaghetti. And so this one, what my other half told me was they got a washing up glove, they filled it with water, or she did this, so it was like preparation. She filled it up with water, she put it in the school freezer until it froze solid, and you had this ice hand, and then they put it in this tray of like water, and they measured the temperature, and then they timed it over different intervals throughout the day, and they recorded the temperature as the ice melted, the temperature of the water. That's what was supposed to happen. And what happened, they tried to peel the glove off the ice hand, and as they peeled it off, the fingers just snapped, started skidding out, and all the kids were pissing themselves as the fingers were snapping off. And then they thought, right, we're going to do this sort of like, you know, when you pull the tablecloth off a table and all that's what we'll do. There's only a couple of fingers left. We'll just whip it off, and they whipped it off, and it was. The only finger that was left was the middle one. So there was an ice hand giving the middle finger to the class on a. All the kids were losing it. Even the teachers were losing it. And I just thought, that is so good. That's got to go in my book. So I pretty much nicked it wholesale to put in the book. But yeah,
well, why not? That's a great story, and it's only going to just get wasted. It's just going to just be out there.
Exactly. But that came from my other half. But a lot of the stories in the first book came from just walking to school with my daughter, and it just gave me a reason to get up, a reason to get some fresh air, and also I could just farm her for some ideas and just even if it wasn't stuff that was going in the book, she'd come up with like one of the more memorable ones. She said, "Wouldn't it be great if we could hire IKEA one day and just invite all your mates round and just have one massive game of hide and seek?" And I thought, that would be pretty good. That would be pretty cool.
I would love that. I would love that. It was like they were talking about Buckingham Palace, and they said just turn it into a massive laser quest. Imagine that.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
That'd be amazing. If they did that, you'd have so much more respect for everybody.
You could. They talk about the royals sort of making money for the country. That would probably treble it.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to play like Laser Quest? Or you do. I remember years ago there was this alien thing, and it was at Leicester Square at the Trocadero. I remember, and it was like being in the film, and you walked in, and there was a party of 13 of you, and then this soldier said, "Right, we're going to take you through the compound, going to show you the eggs, going to show you this," and then this alarm goes off, and then this soldier comes on, and this soldier goes, "They've escaped. Yeah, right, we need to get you out," and you're running through all these passages. If they turned Buckingham Palace into that,
I can imagine that they get you in there. Charles is doing the briefing, and then he's saying, "Okay, there's a really," and then he's escaped, and then Prince Andrew is running after you,
and he's running. You got to get out before he gets.
You've got to get out before he nonces you. Yeah.
Now you see. Now we're thinking outside the box.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh yeah, allegedly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
before I get a hit put out on me.
I would say, well, let's change the subject briefly.
Yes.
You mentioned football and your love for football. And I will say, having seen you in action, I remember that game we played against, I don't know what they were. Were they gamers or something like that? They were like,
they were a YouTube team who are actually a very good team in their own right now. Oh my God, they were good. They absolutely spanked us.
And do you know what? All the other people on the team, because the video, they didn't want the video to go up because we lost. This is like 21-1 or something.
It's something ridiculous.
And I remember Lloyd Griffith was like, don't put this out. We don't want, and it was like, no, put it out. It's really funny.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah, but what I noticed, and it was the first time really realising that when someone can play football, like really play, it's next level, like yourself. Like you were everywhere, and it made the rest of us look. I just was like, oh yeah, I'm a pub football team player. I didn't realise how big the pitches were either. It
takes a lot of legwork. Yeah. You get knackered pretty quickly. So I used to play, sort of in my 20s. I would be playing 5 times a week.
Wow.
So I played on a Saturday and a Sunday. I had sort of respective training for both ones during the midweek, and then I played just with some mates on a Monday. Now I only play once a week on a Monday night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. That was really good fun. We did get really absolutely spanked.
I scored an own goal.
I mean, yeah, we were literally chasing our tails a lot of the time.
Yeah, and you were just up and back. And I remember, and then being in defence, which is where normally I'm pretty solid, because it was so spaced. I didn't realise how big the pitches are, and I'm like, well, fuck. I wonder what it must be like for players then, like if they're playing on these every week. And you're just at the back, all the action's going on up front, and you're just sort of stood there.
I think we were predominantly sort of mid-30s as an average to higher. I can't remember how old I would have been, and they were predominantly early 20s. And like you say, because the actual 11-a-side pitches are so big, if you're quick, you can just knock it past an old man like me. And
I got a lot of that. There was a lot of that.
But yeah, it's something I used to do a lot more of. But now I'm 46 now, and I still play on a Monday night, and it's just a revolving kind of group of people. And I've played with the same. I've played on that Monday night it was the year 2000, so it's 23 years I played on a Monday night in Luton, where I live. But the people that I play with have kind of dropped off. They brought friends along, and then they've dropped off, and their friends have brought friends along. So the age range I'm playing against sort of people who are in their sort of 20s and 30s, whereas I'm 40.
Yeah.
I'm 46, but closer to 50 than 40. So it just feels like I'm the only one who's getting older, and everyone else keeps getting younger. But it's good fun, and it just, again, it kind of it goes well with the comedy because it's that activity. My other half, when she comes home, and if I haven't done anything, if I haven't been for a walk, if I haven't, like today, I've not done anything, I've just looked out the window and it's absolutely raining. I'd normally try and get out at least once a day. She comes home and I'm bouncing off I'm like a puppy who's been kept in, and she knows, she can tell when I've not seen anyone or spoke to anyone, or I mean, talking to you now will kind of temper that a little bit.
It's true though. We need that. We need that interaction, and you do need to keep moving. And I know, like, I'm 51, so I'm more aware now. I mean, I still move around. I still go to the gym, and I walk most days. And you know, the permit on our car ran out, so we live in Brighton, so we've been parking the car like sort of half an hour walk away. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm not in a rush to get a permit. I quite like this.
Yeah.
So half an hour to the car, it's half an hour back. I go to the gym, and then I do my stuff, and I feel a lot better for it. Just moving around all the time.
Do you find you come up with ideas when you're walking? That's my main. Yeah. If I need an idea, I need to think about something. It's what I do. I go for a walk around the park, and I can be too. The only. I gesticulate quite a lot as I talk in my head as I walk. So people who are walking the other way think, "Oh, there's that nut," and I look a bit like I could be, and I'm there going, "What if I'm talking about lobsters or something?" I don't know in my head, and then people are sort of giving me funny looks as they come towards me with their dogs, and like, steer clear of him.
But someone said to me ages ago, I was talking about that. I said sometimes I get lost in music and I'm air drumming or doing what I'm doing, and I've come up with an idea and I'm excited. Yeah, but and then he went, yeah, no one's looking at you. No one gives a shit. No one worries. They might have a brief kind of like, what's he up to? But they won't. They don't give a shit. It's like with what you're wearing. Like now and again, someone will go, oh, I like your top there, but especially when you're younger, you worry about what you look like.
Yeah.
But now I'm old. I'm like, oh yeah, no one's looking. No one gives a shit. They're more worried about what they look like.
My kids take the piss out of me because they say that I've got a uniform that I wear pretty much. I mean, I'm not wearing it today, but I normally just wear a denim overshirt with a striped t-shirt underneath. And,
I've seen it. Yeah.
And I've got just so. It's almost like Steve Jobs when he had the black t-shirt and he had like 500 of them in a walk-in wardrobe. I've just got loads and loads and loads of striped shirts and loads of denim sort of overshirts. And that's all I wear. So, and it just makes things a lot easier for me because I don't have to think about what I look like then. You're talking about music there.
Yes.
You're massively into your music, aren't you?
I love music. Yeah.
What's your next gig?
Oh man, I'm going to see a band called Benefits, they're sort of like spoken word, but over real like electronic industrial noise. Basically, what people go, it's noise. I've spoken about it on here before.
Yeah.
And I've played it to people, and they go, "Yeah, that's not for me." And I'm like, because it's quite political, so they're talking about what's going on in a minute. So that noise to me, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense because we're getting fucked, and that's the noise it should make in your head. Just like fuck, it's real. It's angry and it's great.
I'm literally going to search for them now. So when we finish here, I'm going to list. Is it you describing it there? It sounds a bit Sleaford Modsy type.
It's like it's very much on that sort of spectrum, but it's more because a lot of it is it sounds it just sounds like electronic noise over the lead singer Kingsley shouting and hollering, but. It makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, that's the noise we should be making at the minute with the way things are. They got a new song out called Warhorse, which has got a tune, which is good.
Warhorse,
yeah.
that was actually my nickname.
Was it really?
When I was playing football on a Sunday. There you go.
So are you into your music?
Well, yeah, I would say so. I'm going to see. I mean, one of my favourite bands of the last few years is Australian band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we had them on the radio show. Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to see them 22nd of March. Alexander. It was at Brixton, and because of the trouble there, or the problems they had there, they've moved it to Alexander Palace. So I'm going there with my older brother and younger brother. So if you're there, listeners, and you see three tall bearded men, stick clear.
Denim shirts or striped jumpers.
Yeah. So no, I love they're very prolific. They have 2 albums a year, and they're that kind of psychedelic rock. Some of it's really headbanging. Some of it. My daughter actually, my eldest, when she was 7, would it have been? She had to do school homework about a famous person from Australia.
Right.
And because kids will kind of through osmosis suck up your musical taste. Yes. And I was playing this when I first got into King Gizzard, and I was playing a lot of their stuff. And it was quite headbangy, some of the album that I was listening to. And as soon as I saw it was an Australian themed week or homework they were doing, I said, "Oh, you want to do it about King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard?" So she did this lovely. It's like 3 or 4 pages. I don't know, it might have been 2 pages about King Gizzard and where they're from. And I really like their music because it's bouncy and energetic. And she did like a list of her favourite songs. I think the songs were called stuff like Cold Cadaver. I'm sure the teacher was thinking, what the? And she'd written they're a 7-piece rock band from Melbourne, and she'd done a little map and stuff. But I thought, this is great. So I took a photo of it and I tweeted it, and King Gizzard retweeted it. And
nice.
And that kind of made my day more than her day, to be honest. I was like, yeah,
man.
So no, they're my faves at the minute. So
I love you.
I'm actually going. I've got tickets to see the Arctic Monkeys with my oldest. So she's going to be 14, and yeah, I didn't realise, but she likes the Arctic Monkeys. And
Oh,
she
wow.
said, and she asked me if we could go, and I was like, yeah, I'll come with you to that. I've seen them quite a few times before in various festivals and things. I just think it'd be good fun to do first music gig with her.
Oh, amazing! That's what I did. My dad took me to gigs when I was 14, and that was how we sort of spent time together. Just because being a kid, when I got to teenage years, I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to just get out and go. And then Dad started going to see bands, and so I would go with him, and that was how we bonded. It was really nice. It's good to go. Have I been? My lads won't. They won't come with me, or they wouldn't. They might do now, but they didn't want to before.
How old are they now?
Well, my eldest is 30. He'll be 31 next week.
Oh wow!
And my youngest is 25. Oh, I took my eldest son to see Son of Dave. He's excellent, and we saw him at the Comedy Cafe, which was amazing, and that was a nice moment with him. We just saw, because he didn't really know much about him, and I was halfway through. He looked at me and he was like, "Fucking yes, Dad!" And it was a really nice moment,
I tend to go to most of mine with my older brother because he's much more. I mean, we both listen to Six Music, and we like new bands, and I live in Luton, and there's a great venue, a small venue in Bedford, which called Esquires. Which
I know.
They always. Who did we see there last? We saw Yard Act there.
Nice. I love Yard Act. Brilliant.
That was one of those ones that had got put off through COVID about 3 times.
Right.
So when we finally got there, and it was a really good night. And it's always good as well because we go for a few drinks before, catch up with him, and but yeah, I tend to go with him. He tends to send me little things saying, "Oh, have you heard of this? Have you heard of whoever it happens to be, and what do you reckon to this? I can get tickets to this, what do you reckon?" And I'll do the same with him. Like this King Gizzard one was it was my Christmas present to them.
Nice.
Because I know it's really difficult. We always normally just do chocolate orange with some money attached to it. And it's become a bit of a running joke where, there you go, we may as well not even give these because they're exactly the same. You give me a chocolate orange with some money, and so I just thought it'd be nice to do something. And so I've got younger brother and older brother. We're all going to go have a few drinks, go and watch King Gizzard, hopefully have a good night.
Amazing. My wife and I went to see Idols at Brixton. That's the last one we went to, and that was there was Self-Esteem was supporting, and then there was a rock sort of goth band. I can't remember their name, but they were brilliant. These 3 women that made a right racket, and then the lead singer ended up in the crowd. And then she was the support act, and you're going like, "This is going to be a great gig," and it was brilliant. And the thing is with seeing things live, when you come out, you're just like, "Oh yeah, I want to be in a band. I want to do this. I don't know if there's anyone's come away from seeing me going, "Yeah, I want to talk about my penis for a living."
Yeah, I don't think I've inspired anyone to make a fake colonoscopy or no. But yeah, you're right. You come out of that, like when we saw Yard Act. I'm trying to think what the group. It was an all-female sort of Wet Leg-ish.
Yeah, right.
Group. Oh God, I can't remember what they're called. I started following them on Spotify, and you're right. You just leave there thinking, "Oh, this is like next level. This is brilliant. This is such a good experience." And I guess from just watching comedy, it's a different vibe, isn't it?
Different vibe. I mean, some people might watch it because there's obviously something inspired us to go, "I want to do that." So obviously that is there, but you're more likely to kind of go and see a band and go, yes, I want to be in a band. I want to do that. I always want to be a drummer.
Are we past it, or
well,
is there like a? I was thinking this the other day with children's TV presenters, because I did a thing during lockdown called Art Club, where I was, to all intents and purposes, I was a crap children's TV presenter, teaching kids how to draw and
excellent,
and a little bit about fame. It's where the book actually, the chapter book actually came from. One of the editors at Puffin saw it and asked whether I'd be up for doing, because I'd only ever done picture books for younger kids, whether I'd be up for doing a chapter book based on famous artists. And I think it was, I was reading something about there being a new Sky Kids, and everyone just looked really young. And I just thought, it's one of the last, I don't know whether it's one of the last kind of bastions of inclusion is old people. And I just feel like I'm too old for anything these days. And like you saying there about we having a band, what do you think an what's old these days? It's such a contentious issue, but I'd say sort of over 40 is quite old for a new band.
Yeah, obviously
you get lots of over 40s musicians but they've kind of made it. They did it in their youth. But for a band starting up, it's just uncool, isn't it?
It's like, so uncool. But
you've got 4 dads up there.
Well, you say that there is some. I do know a couple of bands, and they're actually doing all right. I think you have to not worry about that. I think you have to go, look,
embrace it.
We want to make music. We're going to make music. We're going to do gigs. If people come, they come. And we'll just see how it goes, So, yeah.
I think it'd be quite interesting to actually embrace it and to fully kind of, even to call yourself the Codgers or something, not perhaps that far, but do you know what I mean? Sort of actually, we are old, sort of get over it. And we are.
Do you know what? I said this the other week. I was with a mate of mine recently and we were going to have a drink. We're having a drink and watch, and she was at the gig. And then afterwards, I went to get her another drink and she went, oh, no, I've had enough now. And I was like, oh, okay, what you've got work? She went, no. It's because I just, I don't do that anymore. Not at my age. No. I'm like, you're 42. What are you on about? And you're like, I think once you start saying that you're old, you become old. Like, you go like, I shouldn't really be doing that at my age. I don't think it matters. I've got to be honest and just go, if you want to do it, do it.
I completely agree. I don't normally think. The only times I think about it are on the football pitch when I'm playing against much younger kids who can absolutely rinse me.
Yeah.
And when I watch a band and I think, because I'd have loved to have been in a band, but I just think that's past me now. I could perhaps get away with. I remember actually watching. I used to like the Mystery Jets. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah,
because they had one of the dads was.
That's right.
Was he on the drums or was he a bassist? I think he was a bassist.
I think it was guitar or bass, wasn't it?
Yeah. But he'd be there. And actually, I thought that was quite cool. To have one of their dads was in the...
I think it worked because the music was good. If the music had been shit, imagine. It would have been a bit cringe.
But yeah, that would be the only other time I think, I'm too old.
I think
normally I don't think about it. I just think, like when birthdays come and go, I don't think, I'm getting older. I just think, it's just another day when I get a bit of cake.
Yeah. I think it's that. I think you're as old as you feel, and I definitely don't feel my age.
Well, you don't look it either, mate.
Thanks, mate. That's nice. I just
you genuinely don't. I think the fact that you dress well and you're quite a with it chap.
I think that's it. When you start saying things like, "Oh no, I'm a bit of a technophobe. I'm not going to go near that," and you're like, "It's an air fryer, Linda. Just read the instructions, mate. Just don't worry about it." It's once you start putting those restrictions on yourself, going, "Oh no, I'm too old for that now." That's when it starts to fall apart, and that's when you start to lose touch with stuff. Whereas I like to keep up with everything and see what's happening, and be aware.
I think part of the sort of comedian DIY sort of work ethic is you need to know how to work, make a website work, and you need to know how social media works, and you need to know things that, like even my other half will come to me and say, how do you send this on Snapchat? And and I'm like, all right, Nan. even though she's younger than me. But then because of the kind of the area that we're in, we have to learn a bit about everything and all those things that younger people you'd probably go to. Like, I go to my daughter will tell me stuff about things that I don't understand, and she'll come back and she'll talk about from school, and she'll talk about certain memes and certain slang and certain things, and some of it I'll have heard of, and then other bits she'll teach me about, and so there's a bit of learning there. But more often than not, I'll I'll know people. That's another good one. Is when I know people that she thinks are amazing and brilliant, and I'm like, yeah, I know him. There's a YouTuber called Daz Black, who
Right.
I don't know him like amazingly, but I did a few bits when Vine was a big thing.
Oh,
before.
I love Vine.
So I was quite big on that, and I did quite a few sort of virally Vine things. And Daz, we get invited to various Vine sort of event things, and he'd be there, and he's I've not followed his career, but apparently my kids have, and I'd be like, oh, what are you watching there? He goes, oh, it's Daz Black. I'm like, oh, I know him. No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. Like Uncle Roger.
Oh,
Nigel. I weirdly bumped into Nigel. I was doing a corporate drawing job, so completely unaway from comedy, paid quite nicely, out in Philadelphia last year. And it was just really weird. I'd finished the job, looking for somewhere to eat, walking around Philadelphia on my own. Who's coming towards me? Nigel.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the? He's like, yeah, I'm here for 2 dates, doing my Uncle Roger. And I was like, so I went along and watched him the next day. I had my photo taken with. My kids couldn't believe that I knew Uncle Roger.
See, it's things like that. They keep you young. They keep you fresh.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep you like you've got your children's books as well. You're like, you can't. It's all very well going. I'm going to write children's books, but they have to be. You can't. You could be old fashioned doing it, and you've got to come up with a story that's sort of relevant.
Yeah, you've got to be kind of. You can be childlike, and you can be old and childlike. You don't have to be young to do it. No. But you almost have to have a bit of a childlike mentality, I think, and I've definitely got that. much to the dismay of other people in my house, a lot of the time. But yeah, it's not necessarily knowing the ins and outs of what all children are into and up to. But having kids that are, I mean, mine are now older than the age that my books are aimed at, because I've got an 11-year-old and soon to be 14. And the chapter books are sort of 11 is the top end of that. I mean, I always say they're good for clever 6-year-old or really thick 12-year-olds, but they're not really. They're good for all ages, of course they are. Anyone who's listening, but so that whilst I've nicked stuff off them in the past, it's now getting to the point where I've stuck where I am, and they're kind of moving on. So I'm thinking I need to keep that sort of mentality. But no, it is good fun doing the children's books and just coming up with ideas. And I'm working on another picture book idea at the minute, literally just before we rang, which, funny enough, is to do with persistence and resilience. Right. It's all about. No, probably shouldn't say it in a minute, but yeah, it's a character who has to overcome stuff. Let's just say, and it's funny, obviously. But yeah, that seems every school that I've been into, I go and do visit a lots of schools with my books, and pretty much every school I visit, they have this sort of baked into their school ethos is this persistence, resilience, never giving up. Yeah. So I just thought it'd be great to do a book that is kind of all about that, but make it funny. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on at the minute, and that's brilliant. as well as doing paintings and stuff. But, keep. I like that, but that's the thing that's good for your mental health. Like doing all these things, and like you say, if you didn't do it, they'd just be rattling around in your head, and that would send you insane. Exactly. Well, this book that I'm talking about, I literally put the first draft down and sent it to my agent just because it'd been rattling around in my head for so long. Yeah. The idea for like 2-3 months. And I just thought, I need to get it out. Because then it's one less thing in my head. Yes. And then the only problem was, I got it out. I sent it to him with a couple of little sketches of the main character. And he sort of said, yeah, this is really good. Can you, how quickly can you finesse it? So now it's basically turned into another thing on my list rather than it being. So yeah, it's great fun doing all these things, but it's the admin side of it is just a nightmare. And just the constant to-do lists and, trying to exercise these demons from my head, and then more fly my way.
That's it. The demons are they'll never not be there. There's always going to be new ones.
Yeah.
So it's just a never ending. I think that's it. Like I've said this many times. There isn't really a destination in life. It's just you just do a series of things.
And hopefully they get more interesting and more like for example, I've always, and you probably find this as well, when you do something that you're proud of, it tends to be something else comes out of it.
Yes.
And then, so I for a long time, when my daughters, that illustration job that I talked about right at the beginning, when it earned me a lot of, a bit of money so I could stop being full-time and go, that came out of me doing some charity work.
Yeah, right.
So I did a wall chart for the World Cup, and the proceeds went to my local hospital that looked after my daughter who had a really tricky birth. And then from that, the Times people asked whether I could do some football illustrations for their World Cup campaign. So, but that only came about because of the thing that I did in the. So I find the more stuff I do, and the more it branches out, then the more people get in touch, and then the more. And sooner or later, I'm gonna have to say no. But I've got weirdly, what day does it say? Is it the 10th? It's not, is it? I've got on the 10th. I've got a big fiberglass morph. You know, morph, the old. Do you ever see these trails around cities where you get like elephants and stuff, and different artists have painted a different one? Yeah. So they're doing one in London, and it is for a charity called WizKids that basically helps. So it's for people who have difficulty getting around, so people in wheelchairs or people who need various walking aids. So they're doing a step-free art trail.
Right. Okay.
Morph is the kind of the character that everyone is painting. So I've got a fiberglass morph turning up that I'm going to be decorating, painting. So that'll be fun. But that's come about from the book, and so all these things kind of lead to another thing that I can't say no to because it might be the last thing that anyone ever asked me to do. But at the same time, it's fun. It's fun stuff. And if I didn't do lots of different things, I probably would still be in bed, so it's all good.
It's worth getting out of bed, you see, because then you do things like decorate a morph, and then your last children's book, is it Chris Hadfield, the astronaut? Didn't he?
Oh no! It was Tim Peake.
Tim Peake, sorry, yes.
Tim Peake, yes.
Tim Peake got involved and said, which was amazing.
It was a book about the moon landings. It was called "It's One Giant Leak for Mankind."
That was it.
And I just asked him if he could read it and do me a little. He read a sort of a preview version and do me a little quote for it. And he did me a lovely little quote that was something along the lines of, "I'm not sure this is what actually happened, but it's brilliantly funny nonetheless." That's it.
Yeah, I remember it.
Basically, the gist of the book is so it was actually for the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. So it was in 2019, so 50 years after 1969. And so the actual book, it starts off quite true to the story of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins all going up to the moon. And then it kind of turned, halfway mark, it just turns really stupid into a silly kid's book because there are these moon baboons that steal the pod that they're meant to get back.
Right, yeah.
And so they're stuck on stuck on the moon, no way of getting back to Earth, no food. And then they spot this giant leak growing on the moon. So basically where they've taken seeds and to do experiments on the moon, one of the seeds has just grown because of the fertile moon soil has grown into this giant leak. They end up sort of, because they're really hungry, they end up scooping some of the leak out, and it makes them fart because leaks are quite.
Yes, they are very windy veg.
They are. They're actually part of the allium family, which incorporates onions and spring onions and that sort of thing.
That makes sense, yeah.
And they produce excess gas, so they start to fart, and because of the low atmosphere, the gravitational pull, they almost like fart themselves away from the moon, and they kind of have to. And then they come up with this idea: how about if we eat out the inside of this giant leak and use it as a rocket, a fart powered, and they fart themselves back to Earth in a giant leak, and they land back on Earth in a huge pan of water. So yeah, it starts off all quite factual, teaching kids about 1969 and the moon landings and the Apollo 11, all the correct kind of times, dates, and names, and then it just turns really stupid.
Because that's what kids love. Farts. Farts are.
Oh yeah, kids do. And I don't think I've done a book yet that hasn't got a fart in it.
No. Farts are always funny.
There's a bit in the latest Art Avenger book where she's talking about everyone in life has a superpower. It's just some of them are completely useless. And her dad's one is the ability to burp incredibly loud. Not burp, sorry, sneeze incredibly loud.
All right, okay, yeah.
Dad sneezes are just really loud. Mine never was until I became a dad, and then overnight it was just like a Concorde taking off.
It just feels like every hole in your head has opened up.
Yeah. Whereas her mum's superpower is being able to fart at the same sort of volume and frequency as a mobile phone set to vibrate. And so I've done a little cartoon in there where it's just and the dad's like got his phone saying, "That's weird, I'm sure I had just had a message come through," and the mum's kind of got her hand on it.
But I think it's that like going back to what you were saying about getting older or feeling like you're getting older, but it's things like that keep you young, that kind of youthful silliness. Like every time I hand my wife something, she immediately, it doesn't matter what it is, she immediately puts it to her ear and goes, "Hello." Or if there's a car, someone beeps a horn outside, she just goes, "Pardon me." And it just makes me laugh, and that's what you need, just to keep doing that, keep that alive, and you'll be fine.
I mean, the one that I do, and it's a nod to Eric and Ernie, is the old whenever you hear an ambulance or a fire engine, they won't sell many ice creams going at that speed. To the point where my kids will say it to stop me doing it. They'll get in before me.
Yeah.
So in a way, I've passed the mantle on. So now they're saying it. Hopefully, it'll stick with them.
But it's things like I remember the comedian Phil Ellis. Every time I've been with him, and someone farts, and he's like, "Oh, new shoes." And that's it. Just keep doing that. Keep trying. People listening, try and keep that silliness.
Keep that silliness. Yeah, I think that'd be the one thing that I have it on my grave. Keep that silliness. Yeah,
keep that silliness. And this has been a lovely chat, Olaf. I've really enjoyed this.
Mate, I've enjoyed it too.
Great. Where can we find you on the socials, mate?
Oh, well, I'm on them all. I think.
And there's only one Olaf Falafel.
I think there is. Yeah. I mean, I think there might be a falafel shop in Ireland called O Falafels.
Oh right, yeah.
And my Twitter handle is O Falafel. But you can find me. It doesn't take long. And if you want to pre-order the next book, definitely do that. If you've got kids who are between 7 and 12, they will like that book. And if you've got kids who are younger, I've got a book out called Blobfish, which is about a sad little blobfish. So they'd like that.
Right behind you, I can see it over your shoulder. Blobfish.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Award nominated. That's last week.
I tell you what, I've just remembered. I quote you quite a bit. There was you put a thing up, a picture a few years ago, about Oliver Bonus, and you just went, "How many bonus?" And
how many bonus?
Oliver Bonus. And every time I see one, I say to my wife, "I went, how many bonus?"
Oliver Bonus.
Yeah, so that's out there now. That's every day. Every time I see one, that's there.
I do it. I only ever see Oliver Bonus in. Is it London Bridge Station?
Stations, yeah.
Yeah. And whenever I get off at London Bridge, I think there's one. And I do it in my head. So
I say it out loud all the time.
How many bonus? Oliver Bonus.
Oliver Bonus.
I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, mate, it's there. It's in my life.
It's in your lexicon of stupidity.
This has been great. Thank you for joining me, Olaf. Thank you to everyone for listening. This has been Insane in the Membrane, and we will see you next time.